Just a moment. Can you give me my milk, please? Thank you. Organ of hearing, external and middle ear. External and middle ear. Till internal ear. Internal ear not necessary.
Tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. Of course. Of course. Well, external ear consists of auricular, and external acoustic meatus. Auricular consists of this external body of auricular has name helix
And pinna.
and anthelix. It is anthelix, opposite to helix, anthelix. Then this cartilage in front of external acoustic meatus has name tragus, and opposite of it is antitragus. And lower part of auricular is lobulus auricular. That is external ear, and from external ear start external acoustic meatus. And this meatus is not straight, but it has S shape. And in adults, if you want to see tympanic membrane, it is necessary to move auricular upward, laterally, and backward. Upward, laterally, and backward. In children, it is necessary to move auricular downward, if we need to see tympanic membrane. And skin of external acoustic meatus has specific glands, glandula ceruminosa. They produce cerumen. Cerumen, yes. And external acoustic meatus go to tympanic membrane. That is tympanic membrane. It separates external ear from middle ear. Yes, that is tympanic membrane. And what is it? No. What all of this? Temporal bone. That is pars squamosa, pars petrosa. It is we move part of tympanic pars tympanica. Yes, and now we cut this tympanic bone into two halves, and lateral wall of middle ear, that is middle ear, tympanic cavity, and lateral wall formed with the help of tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane consists of fibrous tissue, and peripheral fibers pass in radial direction. And in central part, these fibers move in circular direction and formed in center of tympanic membrane umbilicus of tympanic membrane, umbilicus, the same like umbilicus on the abdominal wall. Yes, the same here. Umbo membrana tympani, that is fibrous tissue, fibrous tissue of tympanic membrane. From the side of external acoustic meatus, here it is tympanic membrane closed with the skin, and from tympanic cavity it closed with mucous membrane. And upper part of tympanic membrane, superior part, have not got fibrous tissue. Here it is only skin and mucous membrane. That is why upper part of tympanic membrane has name pars flaccida. Here it is absent fibrous tissue. All another part of tympanic membrane has name pars tensa. What else? Tympanic membrane insert into the groove, sulcus tympanicus, and tympanic membrane form lateral wall of tympanic cavity. That is why name of lateral wall is parias membranatius. That is lateral wall of tympanic cavity. middle wall of tympanic cavity, it communicates with internal ear, and internal ear consists of labyrinths. That is why name of middle wall of tympanic cavity is Parius labyrinthicus. Parius labyrinthicus. Now, anterior wall of tympanic cavity is near of this artery. Who can answer? What is an
Auricularis.
artery? What is this artery which is passed through temporal bone?
Auricularis.
Branch of external carotid artery.
In temporal bone, we have the same canal, canalis, facial, that is one canal, another canal, canalis musculotubarius, it is, and third canal, canalis, very large artery. Yes, yes. And which carotid artery is here? Internal carotid artery. This artery passes through temporal bone, go into the skull, and participate in blood supply of brain. Do you remember Willis cycle?
Yes.
And this artery passes through temporal bone and go to the brain and participate in Willis cycle. Okay.
And in sympathetic innervation also.
The same we speak about plexus caroticus internus and plexus cavernosus and so on. That is why name of this anterior wall, which is near of internal carotid artery, is Parius caroticus. Yes.
Anterior wall.
Yes. Posterior wall. Posteriorly from posterior wall, we have this process. Who remember what is the name of this process? Mustard process. That is the name of this wall is Parius mastoidus. Now, inferior and superior wall. Inferior wall. Below of inferior wall, we have very large opening in whole skull. That is foramen. Jugular foramen. And name of this wall is jugular wall, Parius jugularis. Parius jugularis. And superior wall, that is roof of tympanic cavity. Remember, what is the name of roof of tympanic cavity?
Tegmentum.
Timpani. Timpani. And name of this wall is Parius tegmentalis. One again. Lateral wall, Parius membranatus. Middle wall, Parius labyrinthicus. Anterior wall, Parius
Caroticus.
posterior wall,
Parius mastoidus.
inferior,
Parius jugularis.
and
Parius tympani.
tegmentalis.
Tegmentalis.
Parius tegmentalis. Now, on anterior wall, what happened? On anterior wall, we have auditive tube. Auditive tube opens into tympanic cavity on anterior wall, and auditive tube communicates tympanic cavity with nasal part of pharynx, with nasal part of pharynx. In nasopharynx, we have ostium pharyngeum tubo auditive, and it is ostium tympanicum tubo auditive. And auditive tube consists of bony part and cartilaginous part. And cartilage of auditive tube, it's make eminence on the surface of nasal part of pharynx, that is torus tubarius. Yes. And what is the importance? What is the function of auditive tube?
Maintain temperature and pressure.
Not temperature. Yes, equalize pressure, atmospheric pressure and pressure inside of middle ear. Well, above of auditive tube, we have muscle which is tense tympanic membrane, musculus tensor tympani, and this muscle fused with a bone. Malleus, after some minutes, I show you this bone.
This muscle is ramimen.
Yes, it has innervation, it receives innervation from muscular branches of nervus mandibularis. Yes, you prepare mini exam, not classes. Okay. A posterior wall of tympanic cavity has eminence, pyramidal eminence, eminentia pyramidalis, and from this eminence start another muscle. Who remember what is another muscle in tympanic cavity? It's received innervation from 7th cranial nerve.
Tympani and
What is the first muscle?
stapedius.
Musculus stapedius. It starts from this eminence and go to stapes. And behind, posteriorly from this eminence, we have a mastoid process, and in mastoid process we have cells of mastoid process and cavities. Antrum mastoidum, it is antrum, and cellula mastoidum. Medial wall, parius labyrinthicus, has 2 openings. It is only one, we can see, but necessary to remember 2. One of them, which has oval shape, has name fenestra vestibuli, and another is round, is in shape, that is fenestra cochlea. Fenestra cochlea closed with a secondary tympanic membrane, and fenestra vestibuli closed with a base of stapes. And now bones. How many bones?
3.
This bone is malleolus, it is incus and stapes. Next time I bring you original bones, and you will see that size of these bones not larger than end of my pen. That is very small bones, and they make true joints, 3 joints between them. One joint between head of malleolus and base of the incus, that is articulatio incuda mallearis. And another joint is joint between processus lenticularis, that is part of incus, and head of stapes, articulatio incuda stapedius. These joints has articular surfaces, articular capsule, articular cavities, like all another joints in our body. Head of malleolus fused with tympanic membrane, and muscle which is tense tympanic membrane, it's attached to manubrium, to branch of malleolus, and it's move malleolus, and malleolus fused with tympanic membrane and tense tympanic membrane. Stapes consist of head, base, and 2 crus, anterior and posterior. Posterior crus is more convex, and musculus stapedius fused with posterior crus of stapes. And incus consists of body and 2 processes, one of them short, another long. And long process has processus lenticularis. That is all external. No, that is cochlea. That is in the ear. Next time we will speak.
And whose ear is this?
Whose? That is human ears, but artificial and enlarged in, I don't know, 50 or 100 times. I don't know.
Human means but artificial.
Of course. No.